Hi, I'm Amber Dancy, CEO of Practical Rebel, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Robin Mayberry. I'm the CEO of Robin Mayberry Creates, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Robin Clare, and I'm the Executive Director of the Seniors Job Bank, and you are tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Meghan Schelzi, and I'm the CEO of Next Step Education, and you are tuned into the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, my name is Shannon Malcolm Daniels, founder of Speak Success, Public Speaking, Communication, and Confidence Coaching, and you're tuned in to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hi, I'm Marianne Pack, CEO of Envision Greatness Press, and you are listening to the Ladies Power Lunch Show.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life TV show. And who am I? Why, I'm your host. I'm Dr. Davia Shepherd, and in addition to hosting this show, I also host a women's group called Ladies Power Lunch. Ladies Power Lunch is an amazing place where women in business, we're talking women in small business, women who are entrepreneurs, women in larger businesses, maybe corporate women. Some of our members, they might even be in nonprofit or they might be retired. But what keeps us all together is that we realize that when we get together, everybody wins. When we support each other, that rising tide lifts all the boats. And so we come together and we support each other, because one thing that we know is that whatever problems you might be facing in your business or even in your life, there's somebody out there who's been through it also. And the women in our group, they are ready to share their experiences with you and help you to live your optimal life and to grow your business smarter. So today, our special guest on the show is Meghan Schelzi. And every day, you can join us in our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group and have conversations with me, conversations with Meghan, conversations with all our members, just like the one that we're going to be having today. Here's how you join us. Just go to growsmarternotharder.com/Facebook. Come on over, come join us, come be a part of the conversation. We want to welcome you with open arms. On with the show. Meghan, welcome. Thank you so much for saying yes to being on the show. Can you share with our audience who you are and a little bit about what it is that you're doing in the world?
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here and share about myself and the work that I get to do every day. I am, I'd say, first off, a lifelong learner. I work in education. I was a teacher for a long time, elementary, and then I shifted to do what I do now, which is still getting to work with kids. And I help elementary students who are overwhelmed and frustrated shift their relationship with learning so that they can feel proud and successful in the work that they're doing in and outside of the classroom.
I'm just curious, Meghan, how did you make that transition? Tell us a little bit about the story that was behind you going from working in the classroom to doing this kind of work that you do now.
Yes, it is a fun story. I taught mostly kindergarten for about 10 years up here in the Boston area. And then in the summer of 2019, after 10 years in the classroom, I just kind of started having these thoughts of, I think there's something else out there for me. I don't know what it is. I don't have another job. I love what I do. But I really just kind of felt complete in classroom teaching. And I kind of had these thoughts of like, teaching is forever. It's always going to be there. I can always come back to it. But right now, let me go explore kind of some of the other things that felt really alive, like journalism, marketing, kind of other things I dabbled in college. I was like, let me see what else is out there. And if nothing comes of it, I'll come back to teaching. So that was August of 2019. And I kind of took that fall. I'm a big runner. I was training for the Chicago Marathon. I was kind of just putting my thoughts of business on hold. And then in March of 2020, just a few months later, the world drastically changed and shifted. A lot of the families I'd babysat or I'd taught started reaching out looking just for help to get through the school year. Kids were home learning in all different capacities. And I love kids. I love teaching. I was like, all right, like, let's see what we can do to kind of like get through the next like 2-3 months to finish out the school year. So I just kind of jumped in, helped a bunch of different families that spring. And then that summer when schools were kind of still undecided, families were kind of seeking me out to provide longer term support for the school year. And at the time I hadn't found another job. I really loved what I was doing. And so that was kind of the beginning of the end. I said yes to what I loved in the moment. And 4 years later, I've built this incredible business where I get to help lots of kids every day. So still in education, just in a way that I never really imagined being able to impact kids in this way outside of the classroom.
And I, as a parent of 2 boys, can tell you that we all needed that help, Meghan, that you provide during those times when they were unable to go into the classroom. So thank you for the work that you do.
Yes.
Truly appreciate. So
Yeah.
we have this amazing anthology. It's called Live Your Optimal Life. It is a brand new best-selling book, and it is available if you go to growsmarternotharder.com/ticket. Meghan is one of our best-selling authors who's part of our anthology. And I'd love for you, Meghan, to share a little bit about what you taught us in the anthology, Live Your Optimal Life.
Yes. I think kind of the biggest takeaway from my chapter is that it was kind of the biggest lesson I had to learn. Me being such a planner and a structured person and wanting to have everything all mapped out and a pretty blueprint all set to go. I'm really good at following directions and that kind of thing, a forever student. But I think the biggest takeaway I had that I really shared in my chapter was that living my optimal life, or for anyone to live their optimal life, is really something that's just choosing what feels right in the moment and kind of letting go of that bigger plan and how it's going to look, and just kind of taking that next right step and letting things kind of evolve. And that's what's been true for my journey. And I feel like the harder I try and hold on to how I want it to look, it keeps me stuck. And as soon as I kind of just let go of that overall blueprint and just kind of make the decision that feels right with where I want to go, in the present, it's led to just a more fulfilling picture of what I get to do every day.
That sounds about right when you describe how you went from the traditional of the teaching in the classroom to this new beautiful business that is serving so many and helping so many.
Yep.
It's really a testament to what happens to us when we allow ourselves to live our optimal lives. One of the things that I love about the anthologies that we put out through Ladies Power Lunch is that, yes, we love the story piece of it. It's really inspirational, but there's also a portion of each chapter where we give people an opportunity to have some transformation, to apply the stories that we've just read to our own lives and to workshop how we can go forward in a better way and live our optimal lives. If, Meghan, you were able to reach your arms around the world and hug us all and give us just one piece of advice that you think most of us are missing when it comes to living our optimal lives, what would you share with us?
Yeah, what just came to mind that feels really present now for me and in what I've learned is that I forever thought, if I didn't see something already existing, that it was either wrong or it was impossible. And I think for me and what I've done, it's kind of been this mindset shift of well, if it doesn't exist, then I get to create it. And that just unlocked so much possibility. So I think kind of letting go of just because you don't see something out there, it doesn't mean that it's wrong or it's impossible. It's that you're meant to create it. And I feel really fortunate to be in the position I am, to be able to do the work I'm doing outside of a traditional classroom. But 3-4 years ago, long before COVID happened, I didn't even know that was possible. But it was kind of just letting go of, what I thought it was going to be and just choosing what felt true in that moment, even if I didn't see it existing around me. Scary for sure, but fulfilling on the other side.
Yes, absolutely. Just to have this crystallized for the folks who are watching, can you share with us a story of a client, for example, who was having a difficult time before they worked with you and how you were able to work with them to improve their condition?
Yeah, so I like to say, I feel like I've kind of fallen into this tutor bucket. And I like to say I'm the non-tutor tutor, because I see tutoring as kind of just catching up on academic skills, filling in those holes and then off they go. And I really, whether it's the Jesuit education in me or what, but I really see it as the whole child approach to learning, in that it's not just, it is these academic skills, which I believe in. And I tease that I set a really high bar for the kids I work with, but I think the academics alone aren't enough. And so it's building that self-confidence too, that's really going to make it all sustainable in the long run. I think about, well, I guess now one student who just graduated from my program, I started working with last spring, worked with over the summer, and then she just kind of cycled out because she was ready to do it on her own. And a lot of our work, like I said, I'm very structured, especially in my teaching, and we kind of worked through those explicit phonics skills. I really focus on literacy. But I really like to also do activities that are going to boost that confidence. So I do a lot of writing with the students, and them being able to see like a completed project or finished work that they can be proud of. I joke, it's like the work they want to hang up on the fridge. Those are kind of the things that I'll do with kids so that they can really experience what it feels like to be proud of themselves and proud of the work that they're doing. Because that's what's going to carry them when the academics get hard again the following year, is kind of that mindset shift, right? From that fixed to that growth mindset. That's a lot of what I weave together with the academics that we do.
Meghan, this is outstanding, because for the majority of us,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put myself right in that category. We didn't even start thinking about any of this mindset or self-care or self-love or anything like that until at least past our teens.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that you are able to get this into these children at this stage, they're going to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
When they get to be our age.
Mm-hmm.
I think about my own son and just how much self-love and self-care is so important. It's one of the things that I really try to instill in him to help him to, one, have a better experience with school and all the things that he's doing, but for him to take that with him going forward into his life. How has weaving that piece in with the academic piece been helpful for the clients that you're serving from your perspective?
As you were talking, I was thinking that in addition to a lot of these writing projects that I have kids do, because I think that gives them something tangible, and it gives the parents something tangible to kind of see that growth and progress. But I also love books, and I love reading to kids, and I love reading stories. Just last week, I was doing a group, and it was mostly third graders, and they were kind of getting chatty. If you ever want to quiet a room of kids, just start reading a book, and they will just fall to you, like eyes locked, full attention. So I do use stories sometimes to kind of teach those lessons. And I feel like that gives kids like kind of a way to access, like you're saying, like these emotions or these new mindsets that they might not have the words for, but they can relate to it in a story when they're hearing it about somebody else.
I love that. So the theme of our anthology is Live Your Optimal Life, and you're definitely helping these children, and by extension the parents, because when your kids living their best life, that's everything for you as a parent. You're helping these children to live their optimal life. That is outstanding. That is so commendable. If you could give us some tips for how we can be better at living our optimal lives, give us some do's, some don'ts. What are some of the things that we really should be focused on? What are some of the things that we should definitely avoid?
Starting with the definitely avoid side, something that's felt really present in a lesson that's just come up over and over again for me is letting go of that comparison. I think from other people, social media, like it's so easy to fall into what everybody else is doing. And I feel like when you do that, you get stuck. And I feel like going back to what I said about kind of letting go of that blueprint is kind of just like making the choices that feel right in that moment for you, and like using other people perhaps in conversation, but really like trusting what is true for you, not what other people are saying should be or could be true for you, because eventually you're not going to feel it anymore when their opinions kind of wear off. So I feel like that's been something that kind of, I wrote about this in my chapter, that kind of quote of, who am I called to be? It was painted on my college dorm room lobby floor, and just kind of like coming back to that, like, who am I called to be? And like, who is that calling me to be? And it kind of makes it specific and lets go of that comparison. So yeah, I'd say letting go of comparison and just choosing possibility for yourself.
Do you have an example of a time, maybe in your own life, maybe in the life of clients, when letting go of that comparison really made a big difference?
I think honestly, that's what I love so much about working with kids one-on-one. I guess the story that comes to mind is that I've started saving student work. I used to just send home the papers kind of like one-offs all the time, but I've started saving them. And I do kind of like an alphabet assessment, like handwriting, lowercase letters, like day one. And pulling that out 6 weeks or 2 months or 3 months later and reassessing kids and being able to kind of show them, instead of comparing to other kids in their class, it's really comparing them to where they were at. And I feel like keeping that focus on them instead of everybody around them kind of like allows them to shake off whatever they might be feeling in the classroom. And it's like, wow, look how far I've come. Because I think that's the biggest conversation I have with parents is like, day by day, especially with the skills we're working on in, first grade, they seem so small when parents are reading and they're not really thinking twice about what's going into each skill they're learning. But I try and tell parents, like, it might seem like tiny bits of progress, that it's almost insignificant. Like you almost can't notice it day to day. But then when we stop and look back 2-3 months at a time, 6 months, like the progress is massive. And I feel like that's really the lesson that I try and hold on to with the families that I work with.
I love that. It puts me in mind of one of the workshops that I do when we get together on retreat and we start to talk about something that's sticky, something that's problematic for somebody. But if they look back at where they were with that same problematic thing, maybe 6 months ago or 12 months ago or 2 years ago, they realize, hang on a second, I've actually made progress. It didn't seem that way because I've been with myself the whole time, but I've actually made progress. And so it gives them sort of encouragement to keep moving forward, to keep up that momentum of progressing and transformation. So I love that. That's your story.
That's that's one of my biggest things that I'll talk about is like one of my taglines in my emails for years was like consistency builds momentum and momentum builds growth. And so really just focusing on that like consistency and that repetition and like how that leads to that momentum. And then over time, they see that growth.
I'm writing that one down. Consistency builds momentum and momentum builds growth. I love talking to you because you say the most profound things and you say it so calmly and it's great. I love it.
So, thank you.
You're in the highways and byways of the world. I'm sure you've come across things that have helped you personally to live your optimal life. What are some of the things that have shown up for you recently? It could be a book, it could be a podcast, it could be an app that you're liking, it could be anything. What would you like to share with us that can help us live our optimal life?
I think podcast, books aside, I have a couple of those, but when you were just talking, I was just thinking how important for me just like moving every day is, right? Like moving your body. And that is, I'm a big runner and that really like helps me stay grounded and centered. But I think having some sort of routine for that is definitely like massively changed my life. And I think a podcast I love to listen to when I do run sometimes is I love the Goal Digger podcast. It's Jenna Kutcher. She's in, I want to say Minnesota, but I've listened to her podcast for years. It's a lot of business conversations. She's also a mom, so there's some conversations like about that. But I've really just taken so much wisdom from that podcast. I also, one of my sisters gave me for a college graduation gift this book, and I think it's called Letters to My Younger Self. And it's CEOs from big companies all over the world. And they each wrote like a 2-3 page story of like a letter to their younger self at some pivotal point in their life. And so it kind of it's given me the opportunity to kind of see like, oh, these people who went on to do these huge, massive things, like at this moment, what did they need to tell themselves to kind of get from there to where they're at? So I love that one. And I guess lastly, I'm not a big app person, but I have one app called I Am. And it's essentially affirmations and it sends you them like throughout the day. You can kind of set whatever schedule you want, sort of pick whatever topics are supportive to you. and it just sends you notifications periodically. So it's one of those things that I'm like, oh, I could turn this off. It goes off, often or whatever. But then I'm always like, it always sends me like the perfect message at the right time. And I'm like, all right, that was meant to be.
I'm gonna check that one out. I'm definitely going to check out that app. I am. And I'm also, for those of you who are part of our Ladies Power Lunch community, you already know that we have a book club. We read a personal development or business growth book every month. And for those of you who aren't yet members, I still do invite you to come join us at growsmarternotharder.com/Facebook. So you mentioned the Letters to My Younger Self book. I think I'll add that to our reading list for this coming year.
It's great. It's one of those books that I love to just flip open from time to time and just, you don't have to go in order. You can just kind of pick one story and read it or read a couple. So I love that kind of book.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. That's wonderful. We like to think of this show as a practical resource for women in business. And so I'm going to put you on the spot here, Megan. I'm going to ask you, give us a little bit of homework. Give us something that we can do at home by ourselves to live our optimal lives, just to get on that path, the next step that we need to take to live our optimal life.
I think something that's been top of mind to me is just decisions and choices lately. And I think that my biggest piece of advice there is just making the decision that just feels right in the moment, like that gut yes. I'm a gut person, so the gut works well for me, but I think just not reasoning myself out of what I already know to be true. So I think that the next time you have a choice or a decision to make, just kind of go with that first decision that kind of comes to mind, like go with that gut decision and see where it takes you. And I think the other thing to remember is that you can't mess it up. You can't do it wrong. That advice was given to me, and it just allowed so much freedom in making decisions. It is just believing that you really can't mess it up, and whatever comes of it, that's just kind of like the next right move. And you can just kind of go about your life making the next right choice, regardless of the previous one.
I love that. People are going to want to know how they can connect with you. How can people reach out to you?
Yeah, I love Instagram. I'm on Instagram at The Next Step Education or Meghan Schelzi, also on Facebook. And or you can email nextstepeducationtutoring@gmail.com.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Megan, at the end of every show, we pull a card just to give us a nice little thought for the day.
Okay.
And I want to pull today from the Enchanted Map by Colette Baron Reid. I love the cards. They are a great opportunity for me to bring whatever is rattling around in my subconscious to the forefront so I can actually attend to it and live my optimal life. So you want to see what the cards have in store for us today?
Yes, I can't wait.
All righty, let's see. I don't think I've ever pulled this card before.
Okay.
It
Compass.
says compass.
That sounds like it has to do with choices and decisions.
I wonder what it means. Says, as long as you orient your compass to true north, the direction of your higher power, you will never be lost. You're entering uncharted territories right now and can expect wonderful new experiences. To stay on the highest path to your destiny, you'll need to keep your compass pointed to the true north. Only spirit or the higher power can serve this function. Money, property, prestige, romance, and other material achievements can't help you find your true path. They're simply things you may experience along the journey. Know that spirit is working in your life, so even if you feel lost temporarily, it will be easy to find your way. Have faith and trust, for your compass with spirit as true north will ensure that you are never lost, even on a starless night when all seems dark. What's that bringing up for you? How is that tying in with the conversation that we've been having today?
It feels very relevant. I think it's just, yeah, it's like your internal compass, right? And it's following what is true for you. Because what is true for you is different than what is true for somebody else. And it's great and fun when it aligns and you're going in the same direction. But I think in order to get where you're meant to go, it's kind of, yeah, following your compass, making your decisions. And if everybody does that, then we're elevating everybody's world.
Yes. And we're all living our optimal lives, one person at a time.
Yes.
Meghan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come hang out with us.
Yeah.
And I want to invite everybody to get the Ladies Power Lunch newest anthology, Live Your Optimal Life, where you're going to hear stories from people like Meghan and a lot of other Ladies Power Lunch authors that have such amazing stories to share. How do you get your copy? Just go to growsmarter.com/ticket. And guess what? You're going to get a bunch of bonuses because you know we love bonuses. You're going to get the Ladies Power Lunch anthology in the paperback, and you're also going to get access to the Kindle copy. But wait, there's more. We're going to be having our launch summit. And so you will get access to our launch summit. You can attend in person, or you can actually join us virtually. Or if you're catching this after the summit, you can catch the replays. And we have a bonus summit day. So you're going to get that as well. You're going to get the replays of summit. So you can go back and watch all these authors sharing in workshop style with your participation, so that you can actually have that transformation and live your optimal life. And if you get this during the time when we're promoting Summit, so before we actually do have Summit, then you'll also get some Summit swag. So I don't know, it sounds like a really, really great deal from us to you. So go ahead and go to growsmarter.com/ticket and get your book and be a part of this movement of people who are hopping off that hamster wheel of just living an ordinary life to living that drop to your knees, gorgeous, amazing, beautiful life that we're all here for. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you on the next show. Bye, everyone.